Hey class, good morning. This video is to give you a little bit of feedback on your first position papers before you turn in your second position papers this Saturday. I just wanted to give you some general feedback on the best way to get all your points and how to write a great paper. So the best way to make sure you get all the points, all just the general points, is to just follow the guidelines. Make sure you include at least 2 reliable sources on your paper. Wikipedia is not a reliable source, so that will not count towards your grade if you quote or use Wikipedia as a source. And also make sure you are using proper in-text and end citations. So when you cite your source, you have a quote, or you're summarizing, or you're saying, this author said this, at the end should be a short, and in parentheses, an in-text citation, and at the end there should be a references cited or a bibliography section. So in the announcement where you'll find this video, I'll post a link to a really great website that will give you more information. This is my dog, Luna. Say hi, Luna. I heard a lot of you guys have dogs, so we're all pet people. Let's see. So that was the biggest place where a lot of people lost points on the first paper. Just do those things and you'll get 10 out of 30 points. So that's a huge amount. The next thing is that your paper should have an introduction, body, and conclusion format. So a lot of you did an introduction, you had some really great thoughts and paragraphs in your body, but then you forgot to tie it all together in a conclusion. So your conclusion should take the things, the facts, or the different thoughts that you had throughout your paper, and it should tie them all together. And I highly suggest getting into the habit of writing an outline for your papers. This is something that I got in the habit of when I was a sophomore in college and has served me very well all through college, all through grad school, all through my professional career. If you can have a well-organized paper, that takes you so far. So I'll also post some information on how to write a really good outline to help you organize your thoughts into a well-organized paper. Let's see, next. So this paper is about the logistic growth model. So if you need more help reviewing that concept, I would go back to week 4 and look at the population growth presentation. It's another lecture, and he really does a good job going over that model. So I would start there, and if you have more questions, go to week 5 and post on the questions and conversation board, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. And if you still need more help, we can schedule a Zoom session, or you can call me, whatever. Just make sure you schedule it with me first so I can answer your call. Let's see. So the last thing I wanted to say was, many of you wrote good papers, B, so, C is average, B is above average. If you really want a good grade on your paper, you have to go above and beyond. You have to state more than just the obvious answers. So that means critically thinking about the course materials and then have a discussion about that prompt. So for example, in a lot of your first position papers, you talked about recycling. That's something that a lot of us could have talked about before we even started the class. You could have probably written a 1-page paper on recycling. So go the extra mile and talk about what you learned from the sources that is added to your knowledge. And, go the extra mile and talk about, okay, well, if you want to talk about recycling, let's talk about, does that really make a difference? What in the sources have you read that shows that if everybody recycles, that'll make a global difference that's necessary? You could talk about, some of you talked about recycling in connection to developed countries' overconsumption. So we overconsume products, so we should recycle more. Because the harder conversation is to talk about reducing our consumption or reusing products, which is something that many Americans don't like to talk about, because that means we'd have to change our lifestyle or change a lot of things about our culture. And so that's a more difficult conversation, and one that would really add a lot of depth to your paper. So just think about what can I talk about from the reading materials, or what can I research on my own that would really add depth to your paper. And that will, springboard you to that A-level paper. So those are my comments, and I hope that's helpful. Please reach out if you have questions or you need more help.